Good evening, everyone. Welcome, welcome. We will get started in just a few minutes. All right. Well, I know we may have a few folks join us in the next few minutes, but we will go ahead and get started. So welcome everyone to, I don't know what number this is, perhaps our 7th Tiger Talk of the summer. This one is called Navigating Student Life at Clemson. So focus specifically on student involvement opportunities for your student. I should have started by saying my name is Casey Ford, and I serve as the Interim Director of Student Transitions in the Center for Student Leadership and Engagement. And so we offer these Tiger Talk webinars as a part of our parent and family orientation experience. We know that some of you may join us for our in-person Ready, Set, Roar sessions this summer. You may have accessed some of the virtual orientation content that your student had available to them. But understand that you may have more questions for some specific folks on campus that cannot necessarily be addressed in either of those environments. And so want to make sure that you have the opportunity to get some in-depth FaceTime with those people. So tonight's again is focused on all things navigating student life. A few housekeeping items and just reminders for you before we launch into the content. I will continue to kind of provide our overview here and then let our panelists introduce themselves. They will all share their content and speak about their areas on campus. And then we'll offer some Q&A time there at the end before we wrap up with our closing remarks. I'm confident you all are more familiar with Zoom than you ever wanted to be, but just a few notes there that this is a Zoom webinar, so a little bit different from a regular Zoom meeting. You'll see that you only see the panelists, so you only see us on your screen right now, and that audio and video has been muted. That is intentional, just to make sure that our panelists kind of have the floor, have the stage to make sure they're able to get through their content. And then you'll also notice on your toolbar at the bottom or the top of your screen, there is a little Q&A button that is not always on that toolbar. We would ask that you use that button specifically to submit questions. So it gets a little tricky when we're trying to manage questions in the chat. We're also not able to answer any of the hand raising tools in this environment. So if you have a question as we're going through content, if you can help us out by sending those directly into that Q&A channel, each of us has the ability to see those and then get those answered either directly in a response to you or live kind of for the whole group towards the end of the session. Finally, you will notice that this is being recorded. And so if you are thinking through this later on or have a question that you can't remember the answer to or need to hop off late, no worries, this is recorded. Give us a couple days to get that processed and uploaded, and Riley can share in the chat a couple places that you'll find that. The first place is the Clemson Family Programs YouTube page. We then link that out in an email through the Clemson Parent and Family Experience portal. So just know that you will have access to this later on. All right, and from here, I will transition to our panelists to do some introductions.
Good evening, everyone. My name is Kate Radford, and I serve as our Executive Director for the Center for Student Leadership and Engagement.
And then hello, everyone. My name is Trish Robinson. I serve as the Interim Director for Fraternity Sorority Life. And that was Trish Robinson in case I cut out.
Hello, everyone. My name is Robert Taylor, and I'm the Senior Director in the Department of Campus Recreation here at Clemson.
Awesome. Kicking off our content for the evening is Kate Radford.
Thanks, Casey. Again, my name is Kate Radford. I have the immense privilege of serving as the Executive Director for the Center for Student Leadership and Engagement, and I'm excited to spend just a little bit of time with you this evening talking to you a little bit about our center. So what you'll see on the screen in front of you is our mission. It's what we exist to do in the Center for Student Leadership and Engagement. We really see our role on campus as being the place that every student has the opportunity to interact with, has the opportunity to be supported by, and we really strive to help every student to begin their Clemson experience successfully, belong and connect to campus, and to become a Clemson leader. You'll hear us use a lot that slogan of begin, belong, become. It drives the work that we do in the center, and we take that mission really seriously. So we have a really incredible team of folks who both full-time staff, graduate assistants, and some awesome student leaders that work in our center that really seek to kind of get out and across campus and to help every student to begin successfully to really feel that sense of belonging on campus, and hopefully to take up the task of becoming a leader, whether that's on our campus or whether that is out in the community or in their future career. So I always joke that I hope I don't have to convince folks that this is important, but since I'm at the beginning of the Tiger Talk this evening, I'll take on the task of trying to maybe express for myself and for my colleagues why this topic is important and why we believe that student engagement on a college campus matters. So you'll see some things on the screen here. We know that students who are actively involved outside of the classroom simply gain more from their college experience. I tell people all the time that it is absolutely possible for a student to live in a residence hall, to leave that residence hall and walk to class, and to walk back to that residence hall, and to do nothing else. That is possible. They will graduate, they will probably get a degree, but I don't think they have a very fulfilling experience, and I don't think that they would really maximize the experience that they can have on campus if they aren't choosing to engage outside of the classroom and to really be an involved member of our community. So some of the things that we know that students get out of being involved outside of the classroom, and that might be things that they'll do with us here in the Center for Student Leadership and Engagement, or as my colleagues talk, things that they might do in their areas. But increased levels of engagement have a lot of really positive outcomes, not only for our campus, which becomes a lively and exciting place because of our students and the things that they choose to engage in, but also has really positive outcomes for the individual student. So we know that students that are involved outside of the classroom have higher academic success. I think that's sometimes something that people feel a little bit maybe confused on or feel a little bit surprised by. I think there's a notion that if they're too involved, which is true, if they're too involved, that doesn't always carry out in the same way. But as long as they find that good balance of being involved, being engaged, but not overly involved or overly engaged, students typically have higher GPAs if they're involved outside of the classroom. And we want to help your student to find that sweet spot for them. It's different for every student. So I think, we find some students who are super, super involved, and we maybe even at times worry that they're sort of verging on the idea of being a little bit too involved, but they handle it really well. And then there are some students who really need to focus their attention in other places. And so maybe their involvement doesn't look like to the same degree as another student. It's going to vary student to student, but we want them to be successful inside the classroom. And we know that by being involved outside the classroom, they have a higher chance of doing that. They're also more likely to persist and graduate, which we all want for them. They're going to be happier students if they're involved outside of the classroom. And there's a lot of indicators about their preparedness for the career world, and being ready to move into that space and to take on opportunities in the working world to be the kind of employees that employers are looking for when they graduate. So I want to talk to you a little bit about kind of some of the starting points maybe for involvement and engagement that we offer in the Center for Student Leadership and Engagement. This isn't all of our offerings, but it gives you a little bit of a taste for some of the things that we do and some of the things that you might suggest to your student as opportunities for getting involved through the Center for Student Leadership and Engagement. So the first thing I would point your attention to is an inventory that we've developed called Place Finder. You can see kind of the bit.ly link there. It is a really quick inventory students can take. It asks them some information about, some of their top values, what they're hoping to get out of college, some of the things maybe they've done prior to arriving at Clemson. And it's going to immediately for them provide an output of some involvement opportunities. I think the best thing about PlaceFinder is not only does it give them those outputs and say, hey, you should go check out campus recreation, it's also going to give them, hey, you should go check out campus recreation. And Robert Taylor is a great person for you to reach out to. And here's Robert's email address. So it's going to give students very specific information and a tangible kind of takeaway from that of an involvement starting point. Another great opportunity for students to just get an idea of some of the student clubs and organizations that we have on campus is to visit TigerQuest. That is our organization management platform. All of our 500 plus clubs and organizations have pages, as do a lot of our campus departments and other entities on campus. So a great way for students to just kind of start exploring all of the many organizations that exist on our campus. They can filter those, they can sort through them, they can use a keyword search. But it's a really kind of easy access way for students to start exploring those student clubs and organizations. Another thing that we offer through our center are consultations, and I'll kind of talk about a couple of different consultations, but the one I would recommend most for new students are involvement consultations. And it's similar to probably what they would find in PlaceFinder, but in an in-person sit-down conversation format. So rather than them doing an inventory online, instead they sit down with either a peer or they sit down with a staff member in our office, and they kind of talk about these things. What are things you hope to do? What are areas you want to be involved in? What are things that you're excited about and passionate about and interested in, and then that person that they're meeting with, whether that's a peer or a staff member, can help point them in the right direction of some opportunities for getting involved. Your student will also have the opportunity as a first-year student, and continuing students have the same opportunity to attend Tiger Prowl, which will take place August 19th during our welcome week from 5 to 8 p.m. Not all of our student organizations are there. You heard me say 500 plus earlier. I think right now we're sitting around 570, if I have that number correct. We don't have space for all of them to be at our organization fair, but a lot of them are. So they have the chance to meet around 300 of those student organizations in a resource fair kind of style event that's held annually in the stadium along the concourse. Great way for students to just kind of check in, have some chats with some upperclassmen, and learn about some of the student organizations that exist on our campus. I mentioned that Tiger Prowl is part of our Welcome Week. Students will be kind of funneled through a really intentional week-long experience that's meant to help them to really transition to campus, to accomplish that beginning their Clemson experience successfully piece of our mission. And they'll be paired with the Welcome Week leader, so they'll have a student that they can kind of rely on to guide them through that experience, and a chance to just attend a lot of really fun programs that hopefully will help them to get connected and meet other students. Other kind of easy involvement starting points that students might consider and things that our office supports are a lot of our major campus programs and traditions. So we have the privilege of advising two of our largest student organizations on campus that do a lot of our big major programs. So Central Spirit and Tiger Live Entertainment, our programming board. And they do really fun events like the First Friday Parade, our homecoming build. Tiger Live does a ton of signature events like movie nights. They're going to do a drive-in movie this fall. So fun events that students of any level can come and participate in. Most of those events are free and open to all students. And a lot of students choose to engage in those organizations after their first year or even in their first year to not only be a part of those events, but to then put on those events for other students. In terms of kind of that belong piece of our mission, so we want students, again, to find that sense of belonging. They may do that through student clubs and organizations or other things that we do in our center, but we also put some real intentional attention to retention and belonging, and making sure that all of our students feel like Clemson is home, feel like they are connected and have resources and have people that they can work with and go to if they need assistance. So a couple of the programs I would highlight sort of in our retention and belonging unit. One is our Unites programming. We do late night programming every single Thursday and Friday nights during the semester in our Barnes Center, which is just across from the Hendricks Student Center on Cherry Road. So students can come there. It is Again, free programming that's offered every single Thursday and Friday night. We do things like movie nights, things like paint nights, open mic nights, those kinds of things. There's trivia there every Thursday evening. So again, another way for students to maybe find a community of people that they can spend some of their out of the classroom time with. We also offer what we call Get Connected events throughout the year. We do some of those as part of our Connections program, which is a peer mentoring program that is offered through our center. But we will also this year be offering broader Get Connected events that students can participate in to come, learn about other students on campus, to kind of exist maybe in a low pressure, low stakes environment where they can get to know others and get to know faculty and staff on campus. In our center, we also are deeply committed to our work in engaged learning and to preparing students to become Clemson leaders. So we have an entire unit structured around leadership learning and leadership development, where we're really seeking to help students to learn about who they are as a leader, to cultivate leadership skills, and to then put them into action and practice on our campus, whether that's through student government or whether that's through other peer leadership roles across campus or through those student clubs and organizations that exists in our center. A couple of the things I'd highlight about our leadership learning efforts. One is that we have developed a framework that we call the Clemson Leader Framework. As you can see on the screen, it is made up, in the wheel there that you see, made up of 6 what we call practices of excellence. So 6 practices that we believe are really, really important to leading, both on our campus, but also in the world. And these things come from both leadership theory, but also from interviews and surveys that we did with students on campus, employers who are hiring our students, alumni. And we really asked the question of what does it mean to be a Clemson leader? And these are some of the things that emerged, and then therefore practices that we want to try to cultivate in our students. And so your student will be exposed to the Clemson Leader Framework as part of Welcome Week on their Clemson Leader Day. And we really hope that students will use this as a framework for developing their leadership skills throughout their 4 years. They may do that really intentionally through our Certified Student Leader Program, which is a cohort-based program, takes place every semester. Students have the opportunity to participate in that if they'd like to. It's essentially 8 weeks in a cohort style, weekly meetings, about an hour and a half each week, and we focus on a different leadership skill each week. Some of those are directly correlated with that Clemson Leader Framework. Some are other skills, kind of breaking down maybe some of those practices of excellence into smaller parts. But a really great jumping off point for students who might want to lead on campus. Again, I mentioned involvement consultations earlier. Leadership consultations are also another form of a consultation that your student can participate in our office. A great starting point for them to really think through, where am I strong in my leadership skills and where might I need some development, and working with a peer or again, a staff member who might help them to sort of draft out what that plan could look like. Community engagement is also a huge part of our center, and something that we really hope that all students will take the opportunity to do while they're at Clemson. I tell people that I don't believe that students are just here to exist on our campus, but they're also residents and citizens of our larger Clemson community for the years that they are in Clemson. We know that they'll make an impact on our local community, and we want that to be a positive one. So we ask and hope students will commit to regular community engagement. They can find those opportunities in TigerQuest, where we have a directory of community partners. They also might elect to participate in one of our large days of service. We offer one in the fall and one in the spring, and then smaller events throughout the year as well, that students can come learn a little bit about a community agency in our local area, maybe learn about some community need that exists. And I hope then we'll choose to engage with that community partner moving forward, or might find other ways to serve in their local community. If they're interested in serving beyond our local community, the Alternative Break Program is a great opportunity for students to spend a break doing service in another place. So we send trips out over fall and spring break, and sometimes over summer as well, where students can go participate in direct service, learn about maybe a community issue in another place, and bring back some of that knowledge to our Clemson community to hopefully make an impact here as well. I've said the word impact a couple of times, and we have actually developed a program out of that word because we really do want our students to positively impact our local community. And so I joke that the impact program is, pun intended, about how students can make an impact while they're here over 4 years. So the impact program is what we kind of refer to as a pre-arrival program. Students move in a day early to their residence halls and then spend the first couple days on campus in a really structured program where they get to meet with upperclassmen who are also service-minded and are interested in doing service in our local community. They participate in a campus and community tour. We do some leadership training. We do some introduction to kind of what does service mean and what does quality service look like in our community. They participate in direct service and then get to meet some other faculty and staff who hopefully will help them in their transition to campus. I don't know if that video will work, Casey. We'll try it. We're getting sound. I'm not getting sound on my end, but
I said yes when
me.
somebody offered the opportunity to move in early to Clemson and get involved with Impact.
Impact, essentially what it wants to do is make Clemson students more aware about how they can make a difference on campus.
Being a part of Impact really ignited my passion for service.
I started my own club on campus. We have like over 600 members now. Everyone in my small group really ended up thriving. Even Malik, he ended up being student body president.
I feel like I would have never run for student body president if I didn't do something like Impact.
If I hadn't done Impact, I don't know if I would have put myself out there as much. If you have the opportunity to sign up for Impact, I would 100% encourage people to do it.
The different experiences that I got to take part of, all of that made it really worth my while. And it all started at that first week before classes with Impact.
I don't think anyone can say it better than our students. So I appreciate Malik and True for their thoughts on that. Awesome. So that is what I have for you this evening about the Center for Student Leadership and Engagement. This QR code here on the screen will take you to our Instagram. Great place to just kind of see what we've got going on, take a look at what we've been up to over the last year. We would encourage you to please ask your student, encourage your student to come by and see us. We're on the 3rd floor of Serene Hall. We would love to spend time with them and to support them as they begin, belong, and become at Clemson.
All right. Thanks, Kate. Next up is Trish Robinson.
All right, everyone. Hello again. My name is Trish Robinson, the interim director of Fraternity Sorority Life. And so I'm going to just be talking to you a little bit about all of our different opportunities for your student to get involved in a fraternity or sorority on this campus, if that's what they choose to do. So starting out, before we jump into what is Greek life, what does that mean? Our Office of Fraternity and Sorority Life really exists to enhance the #1 student experience. And we do that by providing relationship-focused coaching and mentorship and educational programming to all of our members of Fraternity and Sorority Life, with a heavy emphasis on the chapter leadership in the community, because they really are the ones running and organizing the students in these organizations. And so the values of our fraternities and sororities really center around brotherhood, sisterhood, social responsibility, leadership, and engaged citizenship, which aligns with Clemson values and just what we believe as an institution. And so the slide you have up on the screen that you're looking at really just gives you a little bit of an overview of the structure of Fraternity and Sorority Life for those who may not be familiar. So our Office of Fraternity and Sorority Life oversees and works with our 50+ fraternities and sororities and the 6,600, 6,800 students that are a part of those organizations. They are broken into what we call councils, and so that will come into play in a little bit. And so those councils are just groupings of like organizations, so organizations that are similar in operation or size or founding history. And so we have 4 governing councils here at Clemson. And the reason this becomes important is just because how you join each sorority or fraternity depends on the council they're a part of. So they have different joining processes, and we'll go over some of those in a bit. Next slide, please. All right, so before we get started, though, just to tell you a little bit about the benefits of joining this community and a little bit about it. So based on our fall 2024 numbers, we had over 6,800 students who decided to be a part, who are a part of Fraternity and Sorority Life. And so that is a pretty big number. We are almost 30% of the undergraduate student population are affiliated with one of our social Greek letter organizations. One thing that surprises a lot of people is that our membership demographic is actually 60.6% out of state. And so for one reason or another, people tend to assume that like that experience will be heavily in-state, and actually it is the opposite. South Carolina is still our top 10, our top state represented when we look at membership. But as you can see there, we have a lot of states, especially up the up east or up the East Coast. Ooh, geometry or not geometry, geography, not my thing, clearly. And then you can see the breakdown of women in sororities and men in fraternities. So again, a great opportunity if that's the thing your student wants to get involved in, but also plenty of different ways to get involved if this is not the thing your student finds enjoyment in, as Kate had shared previously. And then next, really that academic piece, right? There's a lot of concern, especially from parents sometimes, of if my student gets involved in a fraternity or sorority, will they, be able to focus on their academics? And absolutely, we are very proud of our academic achievement in our fraternity and sorority community. You can see here, based on our fall numbers, the all fraternity and sorority GPA was a 3.5 comparative to the non-Greek GPA of a 3.38. And since I've been here for about 9 years, and pretty much every semester, except for maybe one that I can think of, our Greek community is typically higher in their semesterly GPA than our non-Greek students. And a lot of that really just is connected to the benefits that comes in being in an organization and having upperclassmen mentors who they can ask, hey, what class should I take? Or what professor should I take? Especially when they're in the same major. And so that becomes really helpful and becomes a benefit. And we see that play out in the GPAs, along with as well as our graduation rate and retention rates. And while we by no means as fraternities and sororities claim that those rates, the graduation rates and retention rates, are solely because of us, right? We have a lot of amazing campus resources here at Clemson that really contribute to that. But we do know that students feeling like they belong at an institution and in a community can really make a difference in them getting to the finish line of graduation or choosing to come back from year one of their freshman year to year two. And so those numbers, again, also typically are higher in our Greek population than our non-Greek population. And then just for reference, our top 10 majors, we have students in really every major, so it can be done. I know we have a lot of parents who get worried about, my student is a nursing major or a chemical bioengineering major, something that sounds really, really hard. Will they be able to do it? And the answer is yes. We have students who manage it and figure it out, and it's really about the balance. And our organizations do understand that the academics come first, and especially being Clemson students understand that. Next slide. All right, so getting into how to join and what that looks like. So here at Clemson, we have over, as I mentioned, 50 fraternities and sororities to choose from. So 21 different sororities. They are listed here on the screen. I'm not going to read them to you, but again, broken down by council, and we'll talk more about that in a second. So each council, as I mentioned earlier, has a different joining process. And then next, our fraternities. The next slide, please. We have 34 different fraternities to choose from, again, in 3 different councils. And one thing you'll notice, we have quite a number of organizations joining our fraternity sorority community within this fall or next spring. So that's one great thing as well, is our community is constantly growing. So if your student maybe doesn't find a fit in the options that are already here, there are new options coming. We're slated to have 5 new organizations join our community this fall, and then a few more in the spring. So again, constantly growing. And our goal is really that any student, if they want this experience, is able to find a place where they feel they belong and feel at home. All right, so jumping into it, our College Panhellenic Association, or Panhellenic as it's often called, sororities, they are listed here. They are 14 sororities that participate in the primary recruitment process. So if your daughter has talked about seeing things on Rush Talk or has said, hey, I want to move in early to go through sorority recruitment. These are our large women's organizations here at Clemson. They are typically on average above 350 women in a chapter or in a sorority. So again, they will all participate in what we call the primary recruitment process. One thing to just know, the best place to find information on recruitment and how to sign up and what they need and letters of recommendation is the Clemson Panhellenic website listed there. They have a ton of information. They've been doing webinars a couple times, two to three times a month in the summer. They've got a great guidebook that really walks you through everything you can think of. So definitely it's a wonderful resource if you or if your student is going through the recruitment process or thinking about it. So those sororities listed there will be going through the recruitment process with the exception of Alpha Omicron Pi or AO Pi. They are the newest sorority in our community, and they will participate in bringing in new members, new women to their sorority after recruitment concludes, and then they'll be part of that process next year. So as far as the nitty gritty of Panhellenic recruitment, so registration is open now. So sign up. It does close August 4th at 11:59. That is a very firm, hard deadline. There is no wiggle room. So 11:59, it has to be in. There is a cost associated with signing up for Panhellenic recruitment, and that really is just to run the entire process. The entire process is run out of our basketball coliseum, Little John. We have to pay to help allow students to move in early. So all of that comes at a cost, obviously. So that's what that fee is for. But once you've registered, you are in that process. You'll start to get emails over the summer, later this summer, about the process and more information. There is a registration. You'll need a completed transcript. And then the other thing that's required there is a short video that your student will make. Again, there's information on the website about the prompts and what that needs to look like. There's also example videos. So one thing we just really encourage is the students that are signing up for Panhellenic recruitment have their completed transcript and have that video finished before they sit down to do the process, so that, because there's no way to pause or save the recruitment application in the middle. So the dates are listed here. Students will move in early on August 12th. So they'll move in a day early. And then on the 13th is really when that process starts. Every woman who signs up for recruitment will be in a PI or recruitment counselor group that will really walk them through the entire process of recruitment. Will be a mentor, will be a guide. Our currently affiliated women who have been through the process before and are currently in a sorority, but that really becomes their go-to person. They'll also have just the chance to meet a lot of women going through this process. And so they'll start with round one and watch videos and make decisions on what chapters or sororities they want to know more about. And on the other side, our sororities are doing the same thing. And then round 2 through 4 are all in person. And so again, they happen out of our basketball coliseum. Each woman will get a personalized schedule related to those days. And each day has, or each round has, different amounts of sororities they may be eligible to visit. And so they'll go through that process until we get to bid day. And on bid day, that is the day that your student will get their bid and have the ability to decide if they want to accept that bid or not. And so that bid day is closed to public. And so there really just is no time for parents to be involved in that process. And so would really encourage you not to show up and make a trip, because your daughter will be booked and busy that day, because that night is also Tiger Prowl. And so one thing we just want to really make sure you're aware of is we have worked with the Center for Student Leadership and Engagement and Welcome Week to make sure anything that is required in Welcome Week or the opportunities in Welcome Week, that your student is still able to attend those. And so they will be able to go to Tiger Prowl and learn more about other involvement opportunities as well. And so that is the primary recruitment process. There are also other opportunities to participate after recruitment, but they are just much more limited, that can continue after the fall recruitment process and in the spring. But typically that really is only about 5 of our sororities of the 14 that are able to participate. So there's really no guarantee. So the only time that all of our Panhellenic sororities participate in the process is this fall primary recruitment. So again, as you can see, the next Zoom session is, I believe, next week for our Panhellenic community. And so that is listed on the website as well if you want more information and want to go to a Zoom session specifically about our panhellenic recruitment process. All right, next is our interfraternity council. So again, a lot of organizations, fraternities to choose from. These are our larger men's organizations. They range in size from about 50 members to we have fraternities that are closer to 120 members. And so different experiences depending. We have a new fraternity joining the community as well, Pi Kappa Phi, in the fall. So again, if you've ever heard any of your students talk about, I want to rush in the fall or anything like that, these are these organizations that participate in that process. And again, Clemson IFC, their website, their Instagram has a great content to learn more about the joining process and the benefits of joining and information about each fraternity as well. Next. All right, so again, there's a registration. This probably sounds similar to what I said earlier, but there is a registration. It is currently open. August 26th is the date for your student to register by. Again, a hard deadline, registration fee. We do recommend if you know this is something, if your student knows this is something they want to do, to just go ahead and register, because the earlier they sign up, the sooner the fraternities get their information and can potentially reach out to them and let them know what's going on, especially as school gets started, because they are able to have what we call pre-rush events, which is just an opportunity for the guys to get to know each other before things get started. And so once they register, things will get started. It'll start with a rush orientation, which just orients them to the whole process. Again, they also have a recruitment counselor as well that is an affiliated fraternity man on our campus that is going to guide them through that process. And then rush really goes from August 31st through September 5th. And so it starts with what we call smokers, which is like an open house round. It's an outdoor event. All of the fraternities have these big tents. We'll be grilling out, cooking, just getting to know people and different things. So students will have the chance to go to as many of those fraternities as they can or want to. And then after that, it starts back invitation rounds. And so invites will be given to the men who go through where chapters feel like they connected. They go to those invite rounds over the course of the 2 rounds, which are spread over 2 days, and go to as many chapters as they're able to that they were invited to. And then it wraps up with bid distribution, which is where they will receive bids of chapters who have invited them to join. And so that could be 1 bid, it could be 3 bids. And that is the point the student, the guy will get the chance to choose which fraternity is right for them. And so again, tons of information on the Clemson IFC website. Another just tip is if your student is interested in joining or wants to learn more about a fraternity, definitely encourage them to reach out to them on Instagram. A lot of the fraternities are literally posting the numbers to their rush chairs right now and asking people to reach out to them because they want to answer questions. So that is not weird at all. That is perfectly normal to message someone and say, hey, can I learn more about your fraternity? And they will provide that information. And then open rush is that process throughout the semester where after the formal recruitment process that some of our chapters, again, may end up having more men join and can accept more men through that process as well. One of the benefits of Clemson is that our fraternity rush process is the exact same in fall and spring. So if you do have a student who says, I want to just get my feet under me and get to know college in Clemson before I sign up for a fraternity, that is totally fine. It is the exact same process in spring. It's just a little bit of a smaller experience. All the chapters still participate, but the new member classes tend to be smaller than what we see in the fall. So whereas in the fall, we see about 600 to 700 guys sign up for rush. In the spring, we see about 300 guys sign up for rush. So depending on that experience, that's a great time for them to decide what they want to do and what works for them. And then next we have the Multicultural Greek Council. So this is a council of fraternities and sororities who have a cultural component to their organization. So for example, an Asian interest sorority, a Latino fraternity, a Latina sorority, a multicultural sorority. So anyone is open to join, but you do want to have an interest in the values and aims of that organization to join. So they are listed there. Again, great information on the website and Instagram. And then to get into their joining process on the next slide, they are just a little bit more individualized. There isn't one experience where a student can go and really go through that recruitment process for everyone. It's individualized by each sorority or fraternity. So the best place, and if you can go to the next slide for me, please. The best place to learn about the recruitment or intake process for our MGC fraternities and sororities is an event known as Meet the MGC. It's on August 26th in Hendricks at 6 p.m. They will also participate in a lot of those beginning of the school activities, so Tiger Prowl. So again, this is really more of an individual learn about the organization. Some of them will have some requirements around GPAs or credit requirements, but really it's a more individualized experience. And then next slide, thank you. And then lastly, we have our National Panhellenic Council, or NPHC, also known as Divine Nine. So these are organizations that are historically Black Greek letter organizations. Again, open to anyone joining. You just want to align with the values and mission of the organization if you are going to join. We currently have 8 of the 9 organizations existing, with the 9th kind of on its way in the fall, fingers crossed. They also have a really great interested member guidebook on their website that was recently released that really gives you all the how to, what do you need to know, more information about each fraternity and sorority as well. And then their process, next slide, please, is a process known as membership intake. So again, it's very individualized. Each fraternity and sorority really decides when they want to bring in membership, and that could be once a semester, but often it's only once an academic year. These organizations also all do have a credit requirement, so a Clemson credit requirement. So it is an experience that students will at least have to wait 1 semester of their freshman year to get typically around 12 credit hours before they're able to join. But generally, the best place to learn more about these organizations and meet the students that are in them is NPHC orientation. And that's on September 7th at 12 p.m. This event happens every single semester. It is a requirement if a student wants to join one of these organizations to attend at least one time before joining. And so again, nphcclemson.com has a lot of great information on how to join, or how to information on how to get more information about each organization. And then that was it. I realized after Kate went that I totally forgot a contact us slide, but the easiest way to contact us is just greek@clemson.edu, and that email goes to everyone in our staff. And if you have specific questions, we will make sure to get an answer to you. So thank y'all so much.
Awesome. Thank you, Trish. Sorry, I was lagging on the slides. And finally, to wrap us up today from Campus Recreation is Robert Taylor. Take it away.
All right. Hello, everyone. Again, my name is Robert Taylor. I'm Senior Director here in Campus Recreation. Really excited to talk to you guys about Campus Rec tonight, not only because it's part of my job, but it was also a big part of my undergrad experience here at Clemson. And I'm going to kind of walk through a few slides and really talk about our 3 main facilities on campus, kind of what you'll find in each of those facilities. The programs, like the intentional programs that we offer, talk a little bit about those. But to kind of start with, I like to kind of hit on our purpose statement here in Campus Rec. Just kind of give you an idea of what we're striving to do for students. So our purpose is to strive to enhance the holistic well-being of the Clemson community by providing recreation opportunities that promote physical activity, social engagement, and personal growth. And I think when I'm talking to folks about Campus Rec, the physical activity component is typically pretty obvious, that people come here to work out, to play sports, but sometimes they don't think as much about the social engagement opportunities. And there's really a lot of different ways to get connected socially, and find folks who love to do the things that you love to do, or your student would love to do. And I think about when I talk about some of those intentional programs that we provide, our fitness classes, our intramural sports programs, our outdoor recreation trips, like those are really great ways to connect socially. And then personal growth at the end, I'll talk about our student employment opportunities. We hire close to 400 student employees every year. So not only is that a social opportunity, but also an opportunity for personal growth to gain, not only just have a part-time job, but hopefully to gain some experience that will help them in their future careers. So if we switch to the next slide, we'll start by running through Fike Recreation Center. But I do like to mention Campus Rec in general, access and membership. You'll hear it maybe use that term. If you are enrolled in one or more credit hours per semester, you're a member. And the reason I mentioned the 1+, sometimes students will stick around for the summer. Maybe they won't be enrolled in classes, but they still want to come to Fike and work out. They still want to go out to the beach and access some of the equipment out there. They can purchase those individual memberships during the summer sessions as well if they're not enrolled. You can see there, I won't go through all of our add-on membership options. There's not that many. Most of the things that we offer, access to all the different facilities, most of our classes, programs that we offer are included in that campus rec fee. You can go on our website and check out kind of floor plans of all these facilities to kind of get a lay of the land before you get to campus. And we do like to remind folks to bring your own towel in our facility, so we don't provide sweat towels for checkout at the desks. So we can switch to the next slide here. So Swan Fitness Center located within Fike. So I mentioned Fike. Fike is our main big rec center. And Swan has all of those things that you could imagine that you would have access to in a fitness center: cardio equipment, free weight equipment, Pin Select, Selectorize, all of those types of units. But in addition to that, this is where our swimming pool is located. So if we can switch to the next slide. McHugh Natatorium. There's a lane pool, 8-lane, 25-yard lap pool that's available for open swim. Really popular addition that we made a few years ago was a dry sauna and steam room there on the deck of the pool. And there's locker rooms and restrooms access there to McHugh Natatorium as well. Next is the climbing wall. So we do have a 30-foot climbing wall there in the back corner of Fike. If you've never climbed before in your life, you can come. We've got all the gear you need: harnesses, belay devices, climbing shoes, and we have staff that will teach you to climb and belay. So it's a great way to kind of try out a new activity. Or if you're coming in from a place where maybe you've climbed before, lots of different opportunities for not only top rope climbing. We have a bouldering cave, and then we have some fun kind of themed climb nights that are offered each month. All right, the next area in Fike, talk about the functional training space. The functional training has really taken off as a modality for fitness and working out. So you can see in that space, we have a variety of different strength, power, speed, flexibility type equipment. And that space is open anytime Fike is open. We do offer a few different classes, group fitness classes in there throughout the week, some Metcon classes. So that's a great opportunity if you've not been introduced to functional training before. Another great way to kind of get introduced to that. Next slide. F45 training is a really popular boutique style fitness opportunity. So if you've not heard of F45, maybe you've heard of Orange Theory. So the 45, it's a 45-minute workout, lots of music, video screens. It's a great way to come in. You don't have to think about planning out your workout. You roll in. All the equipment set out for you. You roll through in pods, and there's typically anywhere from 20 to 25 people that can come in for each of those classes. And that one is, I will mention, that one is an additional add-on membership. Right now, that's $60 per semester for students to add that on, but that gives you access to kind of unlimited class access for that semester. And it's another big social opportunity as well. We see a lot of students who really get into the F45 mode and kind of, build teams of students or friends to come in and work out. throughout the week. Next slide there. We do have fortunate enough to have a physical therapy and sports medicine office with some really great staff members there that's located right in Swan Fitness Center in Fike. Great option if you don't need to drive off campus, if you do need that type of assistance. All right, next slide, talk a little bit about Douthit Hills Fitness Center. So Douthit Hills, the fitness center there is located on the second floor of the Hub building, and that's just above the bookstore. It is a student-only facility, so that facility is not open to faculty and staff, just students. There are free day use lockers there, same opportunity with the towel service, but Douthit is more of a fitness center, so you'll see all that equipment that I mentioned in Fike, your Pen Select, your cardio equipment, your free weights. But it's a newer facility, so lots of big windows, lots of natural light. Two other things within that space, we do have a dedicated cycling studio. It's the Blacklight Studio, really good sound system. So that's a super popular place for students to sign up to do our cycling classes. And then there is another group fitness studio in that space as well. That's Douthit. I think I just hit on all those things. So yeah, group fitness, functional training space in there as well, in addition to the training space that is in Fike. Flip on to the next one. Third facility is our lakefront facility there on Lake Hartwell. So it's about a mile from Fike Recreation Center. If you're going out towards Seneca, right across the bridge there on Lake Hartwell. Really beautiful piece of property. We have you're seeing in the picture there, a lot of our turf fields that are used by intramural sports during the week and then club sports for competitions on the weekends are out there. And anytime they're not being used by those groups, they're also open for just open recreation. So to go out, group of friends, kick the soccer ball around for a little bit, throw a Frisbee. That's the opportunity there at the Snow Complex, as well as the beachfront at Snow. So we do have public kind of swim area there on Lake Hartwell. And then if we flip to the next slide, the Andy Quattlebaum Outdoor Education Center is also located out at Snow, and it's the home to our outdoor adventure program, which is known as CORE, stands for Clemson Outdoor Recreation and Education. And that program provides a variety of rental equipment, bike shop, resource library, and then we've got a couple of instructional classrooms as well in the Andy Quattlebaum Center. And then you can see that picture on the right. We've got hammocks and a covered porch that overlooks the lake. That's a beautiful place to just kind of relax, hang out. But there's Wi-Fi out there too, so a great place to study in the warmer months. As we go into the fall. We flip to the next slide, talk a little bit more about the CORE program. So I mentioned the rentals out at Andy's and at Snow. Probably our most popular rentals are the paddle boards and kayaks, and those are free, included if you just come out during our open hours. You just want to go out on Lake Hartwell for an hour or two. That's completely free. We do have a variety of other outdoor equipment if you wanted to go off campus, maybe access some of the local mountain bike trails in the Clemson forest, maybe go up and go camping with a group of friends for the weekend, or take some of that other equipment off site. Those rentals are available at a pretty reasonable fee there for those items. Next slide here, the CORE trips. So we do a lot of trips year round, everything from really short day hikes, maybe here in the Clemson forest or upstate of South Carolina, to overnight trips over the weekends in the local area, South Carolina, Western North Carolina, Northeast Georgia, and then we do some bigger extended trips over some of our breaks. So fall break is a really popular time. We've gone down to Florida and done some multi-day canoeing down there. We've done some bigger extended break trips over winter break out to Colorado. That's a photo of one of our ski trips out to Steamboat Springs. And then we do an international trip in May every year to the Caribbean. And we're looking to kind of expand on some of those program opportunities as well. So those trips do have some fees associated, but again, those fees mostly go to cover things like food on the trip, camping fees, gas for the vans, those types of things. Next slide here, group fitness classes. So I mentioned F45 is an add-on membership specifically for F45, but we also have over 100 classes each week that are spread out through those facilities. So in Douthit, in Fike, and even out in Andes, that photo in the upper right-hand corner there is one of our yoga classes that's happening there in Andes. And those are open and included with your membership. So there's no additional cost to participate in those group fitness classes. All right, switch to the next here. And finally, intramural sports, super popular program. So intramurals are opportunities for students to participate in different sports activities with their friends here on Clemson's campus. So this is not like our club sports program where they would travel, compete with other schools. But this might be some of the folks in Fraternity Sorority Life getting together. It might be folks just in your residence hall getting together to make up a team and compete against other students. Different leagues for men's, women's, and co-rec, in different varying seasons as well. But all the major sports you could think of, really popular ones, basketball, flag, frisbee, and soccer are probably the top three. And then I think the biggest thing to mention about intramural sports is those seasons do vary. So it's really important to get on and just check out when the registration happens for each season because they do fill up fast. Typically the same day that they open for registration, a lot of those leagues will fill pretty quickly. So if we switch to the next slide, you can see the best way to keep up with those intramural registrations is through the CU Play app. And that's where you can create teams, join teams, and then sign up for those different seasons. And then I think the final slide here, as I mentioned, student employment. So again, over 400 student employees that work within every one of those areas, every program, every facility. We couldn't do what we do without our student employees. So if you do have a student who has a big interest, maybe they have a specific interest in sports in general, and they're really excited about intramurals, or maybe it's outdoor rec. That's great. You can go in that direction. But if you're just looking to get involved and get connected, we also have folks who work at our welcome center, work in operations out on the floor. So much easier to kind of get into without maybe a background in that specific area. All those positions are posted on our website. You can kind of read through and also apply for those jobs there on the website. I think that's it for me.
I think so. Thank you, Robert and Trish and Kate, for sharing your thoughts and your perspective and your resources tonight. I am going to pause real quick just to make sure. I think we are caught up on questions here. I'm looking at the time. If any last questions come up, you're welcome to send those in. While you all are doing that, I'm just going to go through our final kind of wrap up reminders. As I mentioned at the start of this session, this webinar is being recorded. And so again, if you'll just give us a few days to kind of get this processed and published, again, on that Clemson Family Programs YouTube page, we will send out an email with the webinar recording. So that'll go out there with the Clemson Parent and Family Experience portal in the next week, is what I typically say. The only other thing I would offer is that, again, this is one webinar out of our summer-long series that's gone from late May and goes until early August. So one, if there are any of those that you've missed and you have interest in watching those recordings live on that YouTube page as well. So I would encourage you to look at that. Our next one happens tomorrow, actually, and is all about Fall Family Weekend. So our family weekend, as we'll share again, is September 19th through the 21st this coming fall. And we've added this webinar to answer any questions you may have about what to expect from that schedule, what to expect from registration, and any other questions that may come up. So we've got that one tomorrow. We've got a few others coming up that will kind of round out our series this month, and then one final webinar on August 5th. All right, friends. Well, thank you again for coming. If you have any questions, again, cufamilies@clemson.edu. We are always here to help. Go Tigers. Good night.